All right, let's get underway. We've got a really great conversation up next where we're going to talk about how we chart a new path into the future by elevating historically marginalised groups. And to help us think about how we can do that, we have a pioneer who is using his platform in truly extraordinary ways to drive social progress. I'm talking about Dylan Alcott AO, the 2022 Australian of the Year, a Paralympian, a media icon, a disability advocate, as we would say in Australia, a dead set legend. His achievements include winning the Golden Slam in 2021, which is securing victories in not just the Australian Open, but the French Open, Wimbledon, and the US Open, and earning Paralympic gold medals in 2 sports. What an extraordinary set of achievements. Post-retirement, he strives to create a new generation of disability inclusion that is equitable for all. Can you give a thunderous welcome to Dylan Alcott?
G'day everyone, my name is Dylan and I really appreciate the opportunity to come present to you all today. And after what was a pretty crappy years, how good has it been back in person, being able to do this, people traveling around the world. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Now this right here is a photo of me when I was 13 years old. I know what you're thinking, Dylan, mate, where the fuck are your eyebrows? Now, unfortunately for me, I didn't grow eyebrows till I was about 18 years old. I got an average haircut, probably just worse than the one I got today. I'm overweight, I got braces, and although I'm smiling in this photo, it was probably the first time in my life that I was really insecure about my disability. Up until this point, I never really cared about the fact that I was in a wheelchair. But when I reached this age, everything became different, and it really started dictating everything that I could achieve. So today I want to take you on a short journey back to the start of my life and show you how I was able to overcome those insecurities and turn into the happy person that I am today, and also share with you a few of my unwritten ground rules that hopefully you all can take into your professional and personal lives as well. Good plan? Good. Tough shit if it's not. 15 more minutes. All right. Now let's get into it. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm in a wheelchair. Anybody notice? Kind of hard to hide, isn't it? So I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. I was born with a tumour wrapped around my spinal cord. So if you take a small melon, chop that melon in half, stick half of it on your back, that's how I was born. And when I was a couple days old, the surgeon decided to remove that tumour in order to save my life. But in doing so, when they cut it out, it damaged my spinal cord, as a result, leaving me a paraplegic. Spent the first 8 months of my life in hospital, unable to go home, not in for a single night. Had 11 operations in that time in order to save my life. And yeah, I was pretty sick as a kid. And after those first 8 months, my parents got a phone call. Dylan is finally well enough to go home. So hands up, anybody got kids? Fair few. Imagine how good that feeling was, yeah? Getting to take your son home for the very first time. So I got to go home for about 36 hours. And then one of my kidneys failed. And I went back in for another 4 months. And this is pretty much what happened up until I was about 3.5 years old. And I think one of the only reasons I made it out of that hospital and into the person that I am today, apart from good doctors, is I got an incredible family. I got amazing parents who were by my side every single night in hospital. Or so they say. They're not in the photo, are they? Where are they? They could have been in Hawaii getting pissed for all I know. And I got an awesome big brother, Zach, who's easily my best mate in the whole world. But if I'm honest with you, he wasn't always my best mate. Growing up, we were very lucky. We had cable TV. We used to always fight over the television remote as to who got to choose what they wanted to watch. Now, Zach can run a lot faster than I can. So he'd run into the lounge room, he'd pick up the control for the TV, thus having the power. Now, I cannot tell you how much this used to shit me, all right? So I'd wait for Zach to go to the bathroom. I'd crawl over. I'd pick up the remote control. And then, you know, the power will be mine. But Zach realised what I was doing. So whenever he got up to go to the bathroom, he'd get the TV remote. He'd walk into the kitchen. He'd put it on top of the fridge where I couldn't reach it. I know, very mean. Go to the bathroom, come back, kept watching TV, acting like nothing had ever happened. Now, I tell that story. I want you to think, do you think it was a good thing or a bad thing that my brother, Zach, used to do that? What do you reckon? Good or bad? Yeah, at the time I thought it was a bad thing, right? But it would have been very easy for Zach to go, you know what? I feel sorry for my poor, sick, disabled brother Dylan, who's never going to be able to walk. I'm going to simply give him whatever he wants. And I think a lot of people, especially young people with disability, are wrapped in cotton wool for that reason. Because we are different, and society often sees difference as a bad thing. But Zach thought, stuff that. I don't care he's in a wheelchair. I'm going to treat him like I would any other little brother. And it made me realise if Zach didn't care that I was in a wheelchair, then why should I care that I was in a wheelchair? So I went to primary or elementary school and I was like every other kid. I love playing sport. I used to try and play football and soccer with my friends. Wasn't very good. Foot skills is not part of my forte. And I loved going to school. But when I reached about 13, 14, 15, everything became different. I couldn't keep up with my friends as much. They also developed a few nicknames for me. They used to call me the cripple or the spastic everywhere that I went. The cripple's here, where's the spastic? And I hate those words. They've got a real negative connotation that you're broken, less capable, unachieving. And they're words that used to get used to describe people with disability, people like me, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even the 2000s. And they're words that some of us might accidentally still say today. Or how many beers did you have at the World Cup final? Mate, I was spastic, or whatever it is. And these words hurt. And unfortunately for me, I started believing them. And I became really embarrassed about the fact that I had a disability. I sat at home for 2 years of my life, eating junk food, playing video games, embarrassed to leave the house because I wasn't proud of the person that I was. And yeah, it ruined my life. It really did. I never thought I was going to get over it. And the biggest regret that I ever had in those 2 years, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my brother, my family, because I felt like a burden. I felt like an embarrassment. And I remember I was about 14, 15 years old. I thought I've got to do something to change my life here. So I did two things. One, I started talking to people about how I was feeling. And second, I started playing Paralympic sport, which changed and saved my life. I started playing wheelchair tennis when I was about 12, 13. That's me in the Davis Cup. I clearly thought it was a cake. Look how happy I am. Try to eat it after. And wheelchair basketball when I was about 15. Now, ever since I was a kid, all I wanted to do was go to the Paralympic Games. Does everyone know what the Paralympic Games is? Yeah, what is it? As soon as I say what is it, everyone craps themselves at the same time. Let's say it together. It's the Olympic Games for people with a... You're allowed to say that word. You think disability is a bad word because of the negative stigma society places upon it. But it's not. That's what I am, yeah? And that's what it is, the Olympics for people with a disability. But I bet you might not know what the word actually means. The word is split in two, the Olympic part, which represents the Olympics, the pinnacle of sport, and the para part. Now, what's the first thing that comes into your head when you think of para in Paralympic? Would it be paraplegic or paralysed? I thought it was that too, so don't feel bad. Does anyone know what it is? Yeah, alongside, parallel. You know, it's the parallel Olympics, meaning the Paralympics and Olympics run alongside one another, around the same time, same country, same sports stars, fighting for the same gold medals. The only difference is, at the Paralympics, everyone has a disability, and it seems better looking as well, and more marketable to sponsors, especially the best drinks in the world. Hey, if anyone needs me, I'm available, all right? So for me, that dream was realised when I got to play wheelchair basketball at the Beijing Paralympic Games when I was 17 years old. Now, heading into the tournament, we were ranked number 3 in the world. The United States, they were 2. Canadian wheelchair basketball team was number 1. Now, is there anyone from Canada in the house? Yo, where are you from? Oh, Toronto. What's your name? Annie from Toronto. Anybody else from Canada? Oh, hello. What's your name? Hey, Nikki, where are you from? Oh, beautiful. All right. I just want to put into perspective how much I hate Canada. All right? So, the Canadian wheelchair basketball team, they lost 2 games of basketball, 2 matches total in 10 years of competition. They won the 2000-2004 gold medal, greatest team of all time, all right? And I just cannot tell you how good they were and how much we hated them, all right? So we got to the tournament, we played our first game against the Brazilian wheelchair basketball team. This wheelchair team is worth about 17 grand, right? Carbon fibre, titanium. These ones, the ones that we used that day had camber on the wheels. So you can turn a bit faster. They're like 17. They're really expensive, right? So we're in like a Ferrari of wheelchairs, right? We're playing Brazil. They're in like, have you anyone been to a hospital before, maybe the airport? You know those big chairs? They weren't as lucky as us, right? They didn't get the same funding as us, right? So they were in these old school wheelchairs. How do you think we thought we were going to go? Pretty good. Yeah, well, we're in Ferraris. They're in like old school Toyotas, right? We were down by 21 points at halftime. They had this one guy that hit 7 3-pointers in the first half, and I honestly thought Michael Jordan had some kind of Brazilian love child or something. Had a car accident, lost his legs, and was playing wheelchair basketball, right? Anyway, I was 17. I didn't think I was going to play very much, but my coach, he used to call me Ilan with no D because I didn't play defense. Get it? Ilan, no D. Oh, laugh it up. You like that one? When you're down by 21 points, who cares? He threw me on. I was so nervous, but we had a couple of shots. We started pegging him back, down by 11 at three-quarter time. And then with 1 second to go, our captain threw up the ugliest basketball shot you've ever seen in your life. The ball went around the ring once, around twice, around a third time, and the ball went in with 0.01 of a second to go, and we won that game by 1 point. And after that, we got this feeling like it was our time to do something special. So we went through the whole tournament, smashed everybody, got to the final. Who do you think we played? Canada. Down by 6 points at half time, but we were playing well. And I don't know what I can tell you, but we played some of the best basketball of our lives. And this right here is the moment that we won our gold medal in 2008. And, thank you. And I don't always do this, but I've done some work with Coca over the years, and they're a beautiful bunch, and I'm really honoured to be here. This right here is that gold medal. Now, winning this gold medal is one of the best things that have happened to me for a couple of reasons. Firstly, to sit on top of that podium with 12 of my best mates, guys that have been through hell and back in order to get there. You know my captain I told you about before, he was hopeful of getting drafted in the Australian Football League back in the 90s, and he was working in Western Australia on the boats to earn a little bit of money before he made the move to Melbourne. And one day, one of his mates accidentally tied one of the boat ropes around my teammate's leg. The boat took off, the rope tightened around his leg, and it sliced his leg straight off that day on the dock. Obviously never to play footy again or walk without a prosthetic. Another teammate was out celebrating a rugby final in country Queensland. It was the first championship his country town had won in 20 years. He was so keen to get to the pub to celebrate with his friends and family. He got in a car with his fiancée and his best mate. His best mate was driving. He went a bit fast that day. They lost control of the car and crashed. And my teammate, who was 23 years old, lost his fiancée and his best mate that day. And he was left a paraplegic, never to walk a step again in his life. And at one point in all of our lives, we'd all given up hope. I know I had. I didn't think my life was going to amount to anything. I really didn't. I didn't think I'd be sitting here in front of you today, potentially sitting here at all, if I'm honest. And to sit on top of that podium, side by side, watching that flag go up with tears streaming down our face, so proud of one another, what we'd achieved. Yeah, it was one of the best moments of my life. And 99.999% of the population that's ever lived on Earth has no idea what it's like to win a gold medal for their country. And I'm extremely humbled and honoured and lucky to be one of those people, which is pretty cool. Thank you. So hands up if you're a trustworthy person. That's some pretty bad numbers. I thought FIFA used to be dodgy. I'm going to pass this around, all right? Couple of things. I know it's heavy. Please don't tell me it's heavy. Secondly, if you try and steal it and sell it on eBay, I'll run you over with my car. Deal? Can you catch? Ready, hold. Nice hands. Quick look, pass it on, all right? Now, after that medal, I played a bit more basketball, but it became a bit of a job for me. I think it's really important in life to have a passion and a purpose. If you're passionate about something, you'll be good at it. If you're good at it, you'll be successful. And after about 8 years of basketball, I lost that passion. So I decided to quit, went traveling around the world in 2013, got the name for myself as the guy that crowd surfs in his wheelchair. This is at Coachella. Got a little video, pretty much always goes to plan. Ready? Hey. That was me. I'll tell you this, I think I told my mum, I didn't end up any more disabled than I started, all right? Stay. So I got back from my trip and I just didn't want to play sport anymore. I wanted to get a job on TV. I'll tell you why in a minute. But to get a job on TV, you got to look fit. So I called my old tennis coach and he said, let's have a hit of tennis. And from the moment I picked up the racket, I absolutely loved it. And I decided to make a comeback in tennis in 2014. And it was the best decision that I ever made. And You know, I'm recently retired, and if you know my career, please don't be sad that I've retired, because I'm happy, all right? I really, really am. And it's quite refreshing to reflect on a career as a washed-up athlete that I currently am, and reflect. And in those years of playing tennis, we were able to win 15 Grand Slam singles titles. We were ranked number 1 in the world for 5 years, and last year became the only, 2021, became the only male in any form of tennis to win the Golden Slam, which was pretty cool. So all 4 Grand Slams and the gold medal in the same year. And people often ask me, why'd you make the switch to tennis? And it was to build a platform to live out my purpose, because it's one of the most high-profile Paralympic sports and has really helped galvanise everything that I want to do. You might think my purpose is to win gold medals, Grand Slams, win awards, be famous. Could not care less about that. My purpose is this, is to change perceptions so all people around the world with disability can get out and live the lives they deserve to live, right? Because there is this stigma, thank you. There is this stigma when you have disability that we are broken, less capable, unachieving, undateable, can't have sex, aren't consumers, can't work, can't sell Coca-Cola, don't buy Coca-Cola, don't go to the FIFA World Cup, don't play sport, don't travel, don't do anything. And you might think the hardest part about my day is if that really well-built ramp wasn't here today. That would be a pain in the ass, all right? And I'd be annoyed. A couple of days, I get over it. Do you know the hardest thing to get over? Is a lack of expectation of what people think you can do. And you might be like, yeah, but Dill, you're a bit famous. Wouldn't happen to you. But you'd be surprised. I worked on radio last year. I finished and I went and ordered a coffee. I said, hello, can I have 1 almond piccolo latte? I know. We're wankers in Australia, all right? Anyway, I ordered my coffee and this person comes up and they're like, they were like in tears, they were worried, they're like, what's going on? And I was like, oh my God, are you okay? I thought something had happened. And they said, I just want to let you know it's so inspirational to see you here by yourself getting your own coffee. And I said, it's inspirational to see you here getting your own coffee too, all right? Now, that person was trying to be nice, but their expectation of me is that I can't do anything. And what if they are an HR manager or a recruiter or someone interviewing me for a job or a school teacher of a little girl with cerebral palsy or a politician or the boss of one of the biggest sporting events in the world? See how that makes it hard? And I used to think to myself, why do people think that I can't do anything? And one thing I really struggled with growing up is whenever I turned on the TV or the newspaper or listened to the radio or looked inside our workplaces, I never saw anybody like me. And when I did, it was a road safety ad where someone drink drives, has a car accident. What's the next scene? Someone like me in tears because their life's over. And I used to be like, that's not my life. But I used to believe that was my life. And some of you still might believe that's our life. That's why we need greater representation absolutely everywhere, changing that perception in our mainstream schools, in our workplaces, in our leadership positions in our workplaces, on our sporting fields, on our screens, in our advertisements, because you cannot be what you cannot see. And if you want to speak about somebody at a table, they need a seat at that table. And you might be like, yeah, but Dill, who cares? There couldn't be that many people with disability in the world, could there? Does anybody know? Anyone? You ready? 1 in 5 people around the world have some form of disability. 1 in 5. Physical or non-physical, visible and invisible. And we deserve the same opportunities as everybody else to get out there and make choices over our lives, just like you. And you might be like, yeah, I'll do it to do the right thing. But do you know why else you should do it? What's my favorite drink in the world? You'll make more money if you do it too. You laugh, but what am I? I'm a consumer just like you, who wants choice and control just like you, who wants to see myself in advertisements just like you. But also, you're missing out on 20% of people who can work for you as well and get out there and kick ass and make more inclusive teams to get out there and be the people that they want to be. And you know what? I'm so lucky to be doing what I'm doing. I love my life so much. And as you can tell, I really love the Paralympic Games. I want to tell you one more quick story before I get out of here. What separates the Paralympics from the Olympics, in my opinion, is amazing athletes with incredible disabilities doing things you can never imagine possible, right? Now, the best thing about the Games is 1, winning gold medals. 2, is the free stuff, right? Free Coke, free Powerade, it's the best, right? So anyway, I'm in the food hall, there's free food, and I see this guy, and he's carrying his buffet tray of food with his mouth. I was like, why is this guy using his mouth? Like, why does he use his arms? I had a closer look. This guy had no arms from the shoulders down, both sides. Nothing. I'd never seen that before. Double arm amputee. How's he going to eat his food? Is he going to have a carer? Is he going to face plant in his rice? I don't know. I followed him to eat. He walked over put his tray down, took off his shoes, walked over to the middle where you pick up your cutlery, and with his toes, he picked up a pair of takeaway bamboo chopsticks, the kind you get at your local Asian cuisine restaurant. Gets back to his seat, unwraps the paper on the chopsticks, cracks them open with his feet, puts them between his toes on his right foot, and starts feeding himself his rice using chopsticks with his feet. Now I want everybody in the room, except me, or if you've got a good excuse, to put your hands above your head. Put your hands up. Now put your right foot to your mouth without bringing your hands down. Pretty hard, yeah? I can't even use chopsticks with my hands. Couldn't imagine using your feet. What about opening a car door? Brushing your teeth? What about never being able to hug your wife or your husband or your partner? Or never being able to hold your firstborn child? That'd be devastating, yeah? And if this person sat at home and did nothing with his life, who the hell are we to tell him to go do anything? Because on paper, it must be really tough. But the most important lesson that I ever learned in my life is this: the importance of a positive perception. Because it's not the events in life that dictates the life that you live. It's how you perceive it that determines the path that you take. And you know what? The very same thing can happen to two very similar people on the same day, and they will live two very different lives because of this. Because it comes down to our decisions and not our conditions. And I don't have control over my conditions, do I? What happened to me? But I do have control over my decisions and how I live my life. And you know what? I won a couple of gold medals. Michael Phelps, he won a few. You know, Kathy Freeman, Ian Thorpe, amazing athletes. This guy with no arms, you ready? 4 gold medals, 4 world records, and he swims the 100-meter backstroke in 1 minute and 13 seconds. And this dude and myself are just two people that looked at the cards that we were dealt and became the best versions of ourselves. And I'm not trying to say you've always got to be positive in everything that you do, because we all go through some shit, agreed? I'm not always positive. For example, Sydney's beautiful. It's got great beaches. And when I go to the beach, I got to sit 50 metres away on the path while I watch every single one of you walk on the sand and jump in the water, something I've never been able to do, nor will I. That sucks. I want to have a kid one day, and my brother is going to have to teach him how to kick a football because I can't do it. Sucks as well. But for every one thing that I can't do, there are tens of thousands of other things that I can do. And I get sent so much stuff about stem cell research and that. There's no money you could pay me to do it. Because I used to say the Dylan in the wheelchair and the Dylan that walks is the same Dylan. But that's crap. Because the Dylan in a wheelchair is a much happier and better version of any other Dylan that could have ever lived. And I'm easily the luckiest person in this world to be living the life that I live. And I wouldn't change it for the world. But not everybody with disability feels the same way that I do. And they deserve to. And you are the gatekeepers so they can get out and live the lives they deserve to live. You make the decisions, don't you? Right? So you're like, what can I do, Dylan? If you can do these 3 things, you'll make our lives better, but you'll enrich your life too. First and foremost, challenge your unconscious bias of what you think we can do. It's always more than you think. Secondly, listen to lived experience. Do not talk about us. Talk to us. And we can do it together. We need a seat at that table so we can create more inclusive environments all around the world. And thirdly, we've got to smash that glass ceiling together and provide opportunities so we all can co-design and get out there and be the people that we want to be. Everyone, I really bloody appreciate having me here today. If anybody wants to get in touch, here's the stuff that you can do it. Enjoy today and go the Tillies. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.